Hello, listener. Welcome back to another episode of What's Your Story with the daughter Jamie and the
Papadopoulos.
Papadopoulos. Is that what you're going by today?
I'm in my Aegean mood.
Oh, really? It's so funny. I think I've called you multiple things over the years.
I'm sure you have, as I have called you.
I'm sure you have. But dad,
Send your suggestions in, please.
dad, daddy, Dodd, big poppy. No, I never called you that. Big
Pusito,
pops.
Pusito.
Poos, yeah, poos, all these different things that we call you. It's
Hey,
funny.
enough about us. Let's get to this. It's this guest. Apparently, we're venturing into the
We
unknown.
are,
That's my movie trailer voice. The unknown. Just when you thought you were safe, we're venturing into the unknown.
can't make this stuff up, listener. This is what I get. You only hear half of it. They hear part of it, not all of it.
About three quarters. Now, this customer, this client, told you she has a strange,
Guessed?
yeah, I guess, strange story to tell.
I don't think it's strange. I think it's actually powerful. I think that she has navigated some challenges in her life. I really actually don't know. But based on her message, I think that there is a good story here. Any good story is a good story. So
What's the message? Help! Help! I'm stuck in here.
no, but I have felt that way this week. I'm having a week.
What's your number?
I've been all over the place this week. I've been like at a
What are
two,
you now?
um, like a four,
And now?
a four.
So you're really not vacillating.
What's your number?
I don't have numbers.
What do you have?
I have just now, the moment.
There you go. Way to like just
Too much Instagram. Oh, I wanted to read you that one thing about an introduction to Planet Earth. Great poem.
all right.
Oh,
Well, we will pull it up later and we'll do that.
I want it to be a separate segment. It's so good.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
the aliens are here, and guess what?
What?
They're us.
Good. Great. I'm welcoming that. All right. I don't think she's an alien, but should we just let her in? Should we just start this party?
If she was an alien, she'd let herself in.
Do you think that's how it works?
Yeah, all on
Yeah,
God.
you come up with stuff. One of our guests was like, "Your dad just says what he's just thinking." I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty authentic."
Then they put that person back in the straitjacket. Okay, back to your room.
Nicole, welcome to the
Hello.
party. Hello.
You.
Let's see. I don't know if we can hear you. Hold on. I might turn my
Oh,
volume.
can you hear me?
Uh, it's kind of hard to hear you. Go ahead, talk for us.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
that's a little bit better. Yeah,
Your background is very blurred. Is it my
Yeah.
vision?
Oh, wait, you just disappeared.
Am I
Hold on.
losing my Am I losing my
All right.
vision?
Hey, listener, we do not edit our podcast because life is real. REAL.
That's awesome. And here I have there you are.
Oh, there we go. Much better. Well, Nicole, meet my
Better?
dad, Stan.
Hello,
Hi, Dad.
Nicole.
How are you?
I'm about a seven.
We're gonna ask you that. So we like to start off with like, what is your number today on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being it's the best day you've ever had, and a one being a day that you shouldn't be peopling. And just so you know, I'm never a 10, and today actually I'm a four. But I'm sure my number it's not going to impact our conversation. But
I
sometimes
feel
life
like
is
being
good.
a 10 is really, really hard, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
think it's like almost like unrealistic sometimes. Some people have reasons why they're,
right.
but
I'm going to say a 6 only because the flu has hit my house. So I am dealing with
oh,
a sick child.
oh no.
And it decided
Otherwise,
to,
I'd probably be like a 7, to be honest.
it flew in and it decided to stay,
Something like that. Hopefully, it exits very quickly.
Oh, it's going around. It's so crazy. And is it like the whole vomiting flu or is it just the
eh? It's
fever?
not needed.
Yeah.
I have to be very honest. It's my daughter, so my youngest, the one who we're kind of talking about today. But she's doing pretty good. Like, haven't had a fever in 36 hours, no vomiting, no other stuff. Just
No head spinning, bed rising off the floor.
not yet, but the day's not over. And
It's like
Mercury's in retrograde, so you never know.
uh, it's so crazy because like when you are a parent and you'll remember this, like when your kid is a baby and they can't talk and they're sick, it's so stressful because you're like, what is wrong? You can't figure out what's wrong. But then when they can talk and they can tell you what's wrong, it's so stressful too. Like it's like there's no happy medium. It's like, oh my
No.
gosh. Yeah.
And then when they go to college, I remember clear as day going to college and being sick for the first time and not having my mom there and that
Yeah.
feeling it invokes in you.
Yeah.
And then find out your parents moved with no forwarding address.
That's my story. No. There was one time I remember I must have been like 12 or 13 years old. I will never forget it. I was so sick. And I was like in my room, I didn't feel good. So my parents' bedroom was on the other side of the house. So I started walking to my parents' bedroom and my dad was like, "Why are you in here?" I'm like, "I don't feel good." He's like, "Go back to bed. Don't wake up your mother." And you probably don't remember this. And I start walking out of their
That's
room.
my stock
Yeah,
response.
I walk out of their room and I threw up everywhere. And I was like, "I
Oh,
told you so." Do you remember that?
Should have used duct tape, huh?
he's blocked it out.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, well, we are so happy to have you as our guest, and
Thank
we
you for having
never
me.
know where the story's going to go. I know you kind of like hinted that you've got an interesting story, but I don't really know what we're talking about. But first of all, tell us a little bit about you and where you grew up. Where did you grow up, Nicole?
I grew up in New York on Long Island from Huntington. I've lived in Florida for about 15 years.
Oh, but you still call
Before
it Florida, so you still have your New York in you.
you can't take the New York out of a New Yorker.
hmm
It's there whether we like it or not. Um, I'm lucky enough that I still go to New York frequently. Some northern summers are the best, especially on Long Island. But yeah, this is my home.
I love that. What brought you to Florida or Florida?
Florida.
Um, I was working like an absolute dog, traveling almost 3 weeks out of every month for about 8 years straight. I was flying all over the world, more than, 100,000 miles a year almost,
Nicole,
and
what were you doing flying all over the world?
was working for a tech company.
Okay.
This is
Sounds like
like
sounds
the
like
PK
CIA work to
life.
me.
Yeah, a three-letter company.
No, the PK life. I say pre-kids. This is
Yes,
like, a whole nother
I can relate. I was the
existence.
same. Yeah, I was wrong all
Um,
the time. Yep, I get it.
was kind of feeling like I was young, I was making six figures, I owned a home, I had a really fancy car, I was living a really great life, but I had nothing personally satisfying to me.
More.
I wanted more. I wanted a family, I wanted a husband, I wanted all these things. So I took my vacation down here
With that income,
and
you could have just bought a family. Sorry.
sometimes maybe.
Yeah. But no,
Um,
again, well, I get like I think it's hard, right? Like you have things that people think that are important to have, but you still have this like empty feeling. So go ahead. So
I
you moved.
really just kind of I was at this place where I needed a shift. And anybody who knows me knows that I don't do shifts small. And when I get something in my head, I am like zeroed and locked in. And that's my decision. And there is no way to sway me, probably much to my mother's dismay, because I've done this throughout my life, I guess.
So one could say
Um,
you're a big shifter.
I'm a big shifter,
Okay.
Yeah.
not a shapeshifter, a life shifter.
That remains to be
Yeah.
seen.
So you came to
Um,
you came to Florida on vacation?
yeah, and I kind of quit my job from the beach and didn't look back. And I moved down here. The planets aligned. I had a really good family friend of mine who they were in a transition, so they decided to rent my house that I had up in New York. And that all allowed me to get down here. And I
Wow.
moved down here. I didn't know a single soul.
Wow. That's a
So,
big
To what part? The Sarasota Bradenton area to where?
yeah, I moved right here where we are now.
Why did you
Yeah.
pick here?
So my mother, I don't know, probably 20 years ago now, had life plans of being a snowbird and had bought a place down here. And unfortunately, that never worked out. But I was just like, hey, there's this house there. Let me go there. And kind of that's what happened.
Perfect.
And yeah, I moved down here really not knowing anybody for the most part. I had a couple of connections, um, but really built my life I was 29, um, really built the life I have now created, and I have created it, in my opinion, from the
Did you
ground
have
up.
did you have an exit interview with the company up north? They said,
I
"What the
did,
hell are
and
you, Nicole, what the
I
hell are you
actually
doing?"
I worked with them on a contract for a year or two. My boss was like, "Hey,"
You
because when
crazy.
they asked why I was doing this, and I said, "Oh, I have nothing that I want personally." And oh, is the traveling too much? I'm like, "Well, that doesn't help having a personal life."
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll give you a desk job. I'm like, that sounds terrible. I don't want that.
Yeah.
So I consulted for them for about a year while I was down here and trying to feel out uh, what to do. So that's really how I got here.
So I remember that I was in a similar boat where I was just traveling and I was a little bit older. I was 35 and it was like, what am I doing? Like I got a great bank account. I've got,
Yeah,
I'm traveling all over the world and that's great, but I'm doing it alone. And then you'd meet somebody and you'd go on this great date and then you're like, all right, see you in a week. And they were like, sorry, I have no attention span for that, you know?
right. Yeah,
And so it was
yeah.
really hard to have relationships. I can totally relate. So you come down to Florida and you reinvent yourself. And then you do like an out like a year of consulting, and then what did you decide to get into after that?
So I winded up having a non-compete at the end, so it did limit my space, but I got a job at the Manatee Chamber of Commerce, and it was not glamorous, but it was probably the best decision I made because it really allowed me to learn about my community and make great connections and connections I still have to this day. And so I did that till I gave birth to my first child, my son.
Got it.
Um, so obviously being a mom for the first time, that was you have these delusions of grandeur. I say, oh, I'll go back to work in 6 weeks. And I mean, you can't even think straight, let alone be a good employee. So I was fortunate enough that I could stay at home and I did that. But that period of time at the Chamber of Commerce, I am grateful for
I
to
love
this
Oh,
day.
it's just
it.
good immersion into a new place,
Oh
no
man, the
question.
chambers of commerce they don't get enough credit for all the incredible connections they make and support they
They
give
don't.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
but you did say today's story is not about us or
Right.
you, it's about your daughter.
Yes.
Well,
So
I think it's about the two of us, I guess.
yeah. So will you say that you have a son who is older and then you have two children, correct?
I do. I have my son Blake, who turns 13 next week. So
Wow.
we have a teenager in the house.
Milestone, sure.
Okay.
And then I have my daughter Emerson, who is a fifth grader and who is 10.
Got it.
So,
So
yeah,
yeah, so I want to ease into that. So you come down, you have your son, you become a stay-at-home mom with him, and then they're 3 years apart. So do you stay home for those 3 years until you have your daughter, or did you?
they're actually 2 years
Oh,
apart.
oh, okay, 2 years. Okay.
Yeah, she's a June baby, he's a March baby,
Got
so
it.
they're like 26 months
Math is
apart.
important.
Yeah, I don't do math in
Um,
public.
Neither do I, don't worry.
Yeah.
Um, I stayed home for a year. Then I went back to work a little for a year. In between my son's birth and my daughter's birth, their dad and I got married. So that happened. And then it was time to have a second baby. And I got pregnant with
You
my
get a note in the
daughter.
mail or something, or an email that says, Nicole, it's time.
It's time, get ready. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And got pregnant with my daughter. So,
Okay.
um, I guess, yeah. So I was working while I was pregnant with her.
Got it.
Yeah.
And like my dad said, you said that today is about her. Tell us a little bit about what had you reach out to share with us your story in regards to that.
So, when I was pregnant with my daughter, I had the most amazing pregnancy, up until 28 weeks pregnant, where I was at work and I started to hemorrhage,
Mm.
Hmm.
um, knowing it was my second pregnancy. I knew obviously this is not right. Happened to have an OB appointment that day, a regular OB appointment. So I called my OB and said, hey, do you think I could just get in there a little early? And
Yeah.
she was like, is everything okay? And I said, oh, I went to the bathroom and I saw a little blood. And she was like, you need to go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
So I abruptly left work and I would say my office was about 6 miles away from Lakewood Ranch Hospital,
Okay.
which was where my OB was out of. So I drove myself to the hospital.
Oh my
Mistake, mistake.
gosh. Oh wow.
Well,
Stop. Don't judge people.
this was Monday. It was a Monday. My baby shower was the day before.
Okay.
So my mom was leaving on Monday because she
Oh
flew
boy.
in for the baby shower. So as I'm driving to the emergency room, I call her And she goes, I go, you may not want to get on the plane. She was like, what do you mean? I said, I'm driving myself to the emergency room, meet me there.
Oh.
Jeez.
You woke up that morning and there was blood? That's when it happened, or it happened
No, I
the
was
night
already
before?
at work.
I
This
already
happened,
got
started at work. Yeah.
okay.
So by the time I drove the 7 miles from work to the hospital, um, blood was dripping down to my ankles.
Oh my God.
Um, so I get to the hospital and they are immediately, triaging and at the time, Lakewood Ranch did not have an ICU. They did not have the capabilities for a high risk birth. So I called my doula from my first pregnancy, and I begged her to come. I said, I need you to come. This is what's happening. She showed up swiftly. Um, and I deal in very black and white. I'm the type of woman that needs to know what we're dealing with, and that will dictate my approach. So the nurses in Lakewood Ranch were like, you cannot stay here. We don't have the
Mm.
capabilities. So we now need to wait for
In the ambulance.
a ambulance that you can give birth in, if God forbid that happens.
Sure.
Um, so I was like, what's going on? We don't know, but hey, you might be giving birth.
And you were 28 weeks at the time?
I was 28 weeks pregnant. So I said to my doula, I said, you need to start explaining to me what a 28-week-old baby looks like.
What's a
So I
doula?
need
What's a doula?
It's like a
they
midwife.
Oh, okay.
yeah, midwife. And I said, and you need to tell me what the odds of
Survival, sure.
survival is. So we went through all of that as we waited for this special ambulance to come. Special ambulance finally came. Long story short, Sarasota Memorial was full. So I had to get taken up to All Children's in St. Pete.
Oh,
Oh
watch.
gosh. They didn't start heading to estimate. They didn't start heading there, right? They knew that before they got you in, or no?
No, so we started to go. Well, we never made it to Sarasota. By the time we left Lakewood Ranch, they knew I was going to All Children's.
Wow.
So I go to All Children's, and long story short, I'm in the hospital for 3 days.
Was your
And
husband, where was your husband all this time?
he was there, my mom was there.
Can imagine
We had
that
a
call.
2-year-old at the time.
Yeah. Wow.
Um, so after 3 days at All Children's, I get sent home on bed rest and kind of get told, hey, if anything happens again, immediately to the hospital.
So the bleeding stopped on its own?
Bleeding stops on its own. They didn't find any amniotic fluid.
And they didn't know
So I
what
was
the was causing the bleeding. They had no idea what caused the bleeding.
no. So kind of no explanations when I left
Oh, yeah. So for
You must
someone
have
like
loved
you,
that.
yeah, oh my gosh, like that's gotta
Right. But
be.
hey, go home and don't do anything. Don't lift anything heavy, be on bed rest, blah, blah, blah,
It's a good thing she wasn't armed.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible. Well, like, and then you probably got on Google and searched like things, I'm imagining, and Dr.
Yeah, I
Google
mean, you see
or
all the
yeah,
things and because
yeah,
again, I'm a realist.
yeah.
So wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom since you like to pee frequently when you're pregnant and
Wait a minute,
same.
I'm pregnant?
No, that's a different
Oh
problem.
my God. Sorry.
Same thing happens. So it's now three
That's
o'clock in the morning.
the first night, or a couple
Basically, the second night that I was home from the hospital. I didn't make it long. I woke up my husband and I said, "You need to stay here with Blake," because I
Jeez.
said, I'm again driving myself to the hospital. And this time I drove myself to Sarasota Memorial. Um, and
Was the vacancy sign up? It said
that
vacancy.
was the last time I saw the outside for 40 days. I was in the hospital
40. Ooh.
40. Um, and yeah, so
So what was
Well, you
going
can't leave
on?
us hanging
Yeah,
here.
so
Come
what
on.
was
no, no,
going
no.
on?
So ultimately, it took a couple of days to get a diagnosis. It wasn't until maternal fetal medicine, or they escalated it all the way up to maternal fetal medicine coming in and doing something called a level 2 sonogram, which is much different than your regular sonograms that you get when you're pregnant, much different than the body scans. If they tell you there's a deformity, it's kind of this super intense, different uh, sonogram. So get the sonogram done, and I'm waiting for the results. And I don't know, maybe let's say 4 hours later, maternal fetal medicine tech comes in with the machine again. And I knew from that moment, I'm like, something's not right. So I looked at the doctor and I said, you might as well just tell me, because I know you being here is not a good sign. She's like, I need to double check something. Okay, so she does the sonogram again. And she puts everything away and she says, I I know what is going on. And she's like, she asks for my husband to come,
Oh boy.
who was not there, he was at work. And I said, I'm not waiting for him to get work, like you just need to have this conversation with me. And she says, you have something called placenta accreta. Placenta accreta is something that happens typically to C-section patients, but not necessarily. Your placenta attaches to your uterus through at the scar tissue site.
How'd
It
you
is
have a
the number.
C-section with Blake?
I had had a C-section with my son because he
Okay,
was frank
great.
breech,
Okay, yeah,
so I
good.
had no choice. Um, it is the number one killer, maternal killer of pregnant women. Um, you usually bleed to death
Mm.
upon delivery.
And you know this
Um,
when they tell you this, or they tell you that?
oh, she ran through
Hail the facts.
everything with me. Um, from that moment on, and it was like, hey, the reason she asked my husband to come, which looking back, I kind of have a different feeling on it now than I did in the moment. But the reason she asked my husband to come was because the treatment plan, or I'm going to use the word survival plan because that's really what it was C-section hysterectomy. So she wanted my husband there to inform him that I would no longer be able to have children.
Not his choice, but anyway, sorry.
Right.
Like,
Which looking back at it,
Sure.
I'm
yeah,
like, God, really? But anyhow,
yeah.
so they ran through everything, all the scenarios, what the plan was. From that moment, treatment changed. But
Was the baby in danger at that point?
at that point, well, potentially, because I could have gone into labor, and I did. I went into labor twice. They had to stop it. The goal was 34 weeks.
Gotcha.
34 weeks changes the survival rate of the baby
Creamy, yeah.
exponentially. But I was not allowed to go over 34 weeks because then once you go over 34 weeks, as the child changes in size, it increases risk as well. So it was 34 weeks. No two ways about it. If we could make it 34 weeks, this was the plan.
How do they
Um,
stop labor? It's a drug?
yeah, and not a fun drug.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Um, but in that moment, I kind of had this, I'm going to say an aha moment of I can sit here and I can wallow and I can feel bad for myself and I can do the whole woe is me thing. Or it is what it is, and we're going to approach this in the most positive
Hmm.
way that we can because, in my opinion, positive mind changes your outcome of life. I started to call everybody. I would get visitors on the regular, and I started to I called one of my girlfriends and I said, I'm going to start sending you a bunch of quotes. I need you to print them out, and I need you to bring them to the hospital with me when you come. Um, and she did. And I had my entire wall of
With
my
positive
hospital
affirmations, sure.
with positive affirmations, including a sign on my door that said like positive attitudes only, like don't come in here if
Sure.
you're in the negative space. Um, and it became this thing. We were not allowed to talk about it in the negative at all. My mother spent every single night in the hospital with me,
Oof.
um, sleeping on a crappy hospital couch.
Like the chair beds. Yeah.
Yeah. We made deals of like, hey, if you have breakfast and lunch in the hospital, I will go and get you whatever dinner you want. Right. Every night we had a calendar up crossing down the days to her
34 weeks.
birth date, my delivery, and we would do a whole like closing ceremony every night that we made it through another day. Um,
Was
but
it
it was
was it determined at that time whether the birth would be cesarean again or natural?
it would have to be a C-section.
We have a
Yeah.
hysterectomy. It had to be.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were
So
like basically, and not, I mean, like not to go negative, but like you were every day just hoping to make it through and live through the day because your life was at risk every day.
every day there is a high risk list in Sarasota Memorial Hospital that the entire hospital is aware of who's on this list. I was on that list, so everybody in the building was aware of my situation. Um, there was teams put in place. I had all different kinds of teams. I had a gynecological OB team. I had delivery team. There was an ICU team for me in case. There was a NICU team. There was
All
when
on
you see
standby.
sometimes you have ever seen pictures of like ORs and there's just a massive amount of people. That's
That's true.
exactly what my OR looked like. Um, I had a wonderful team. I had a, I lost my OB because they did not have rights at Sarasota Memorial. So I had the hospitalist OB. He was incredible. He would come in and visit me, and sometimes he'd come back. I remember one time he came back from a weekend and he said, "Well, I was at Universal Studios this weekend." And I'm like,
You
"This is how
bastard.
you should lead with." Yeah. Like I'm stuck in here. I can't even. The only time I was allowed to go up was to go to the bathroom. Otherwise, it was nothing.
And I imagine
Um,
you were connected to so many different machines monitoring everything about
Yeah, and
you.
I was also on a blood donor list because of blood transfusion needs that would probably arise during my delivery. So it was constantly, they have to check you constantly because your platelets and your antibodies change in your blood. So it was constant. I had an IV line in constantly.
Not a catheter? You wouldn't have had a catheter to
I
help you?
didn't have one because they still let me go to the bathroom, which I was very.
Yeah.
They wanted to put one in my neck. I kind of bucked back because I'm not very good in that department with stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they did leave, yeah, a permanent IV line, catheter line in my arm.
And then you have a
Um,
2-year-old at home who's like, "Where's mommy?"
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It
I would
was,
assume rather than getting to an even plane mentally, probably every day is a crisis up and a crisis down. It's a moment by moment situation.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's looking back now, we're almost 11 years later. Um, yeah, sometimes it's hard to believe. There was fallout after. I mean, not to get ahead, but there's fallouts that you don't talk people don't talk about. Um, I immediately, I'm a research person, so I immediately went on and tried to find groups of women that had gone through this. And there's an incredible group of women that I connected with through a Facebook group. And we all talk to this day, and we are this support group because the healing from all of this ebbs and flows, right? Um, I'm definitely farther down this journey now, almost 11 years later, but there's plenty of moms and women still
Sure.
healing from this. And you go through highs and lows. I mean, I remember I went through a time where I was like, I can't go to any of my girlfriends' baby showers.
It's too
Even though I knew I really only wanted two children, and I was blessed to have two children. Not having that be really my choice at the end was very traumatic for me. So I had a really hard time being there for friends of mine who were pregnant,
sure.
which I feel incredibly guilty about now, but at the time that was part of the process. Um, I really didn't like looking at pregnant women. I became envious. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of trauma that they don't even there's trauma having a hysterectomy. I mean, I would equate it to what a woman is like when she gets a mastectomy. You kind of lose a little bit of this femininity by no longer, having a period.
Yeah.
If they know that people who've had cesareans are at risk because of the scar tissue in the placenta, is there something that they could do in advance to maybe prevent it or
So,
minimize?
so the well, the problem. in my case with my son, I had absolutely no choice. He was Frank Breech, which means he was head up and his feet was by his ears. So there was no
No,
way I was having.
but it was that cesarean that caused the scar tissue for the second birth, correct?
Correct.
So you
Correct.
anticipate after someone has a cesarean, the likelihood of it happening on a second birth is more significant, I would suppose.
Correct. But 11 years ago, this diagnosis was not very well, not like it is now.
Gotcha.
The problem is that doctors get paid more when they have C-sections, baby deliveries, which aids in the amount of C-sections. There's also vanity reasons that C-sections are done, and doctors go along with it. Um, so C-sections, and can you have a birth after a C-section? Yes. A lot of doctors don't want to do it because it's high
I
risk.
risk.
So, are there things that could be done to minimize the number of C-sections in this world? Sure. The United States is not, for a first world country, we are terrible in maternal medicine. We are there's third world countries that do better than us, and I'm not joking. We're not great.
Yeah.
But
Which is
what I mean is, though, after someone has a first C-section and they're pregnant again, they would know the risk of that scar tissue and placenta connection would be greater.
if
If
they
your
were
doctor,
educated.
yeah, if your doctor knows it. Yeah, if your doctor,
I was automatically scheduled for a second C-section because I had a first. Had I
this
not
is-
had that hemorrhage, had I gone to my scheduled hospital and delivered, I would bet money that I would not be here today.
wow.
I would have bled out because
Mm.
they cut you open. They would naturally start tugging on your placenta to remove it. And when they tug on your placenta to remove it, that's when all hell breaks loose.
And your daughter probably wouldn't be here either. So you
Yeah,
wait.
well, then we had to deal with that conversation.
Yeah. So
Um,
so every day, so you talk to, so it's like your life or her life, I would imagine, was one of the conversations you had.
yeah, yep. What's the decision?
So
I mean,
ultimately, though, you made it to 34 weeks, right?
so I made it to 34
More
weeks.
than that, she survived with hospital food.
Yeah, I think it might have aided in my post-pregnancy
Yeah.
weight loss.
Probably still paying off that bill.
I call her my $1 million baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I made it to June 15th was the day. I made it to June 15th. The plan was, we had talked about the plan so many times over 40 days. The plan constantly evolved and constantly changed. My doctor was so fantastic. Going back to the Universal visit, he came in my room and said, "Oh, I was at Universal Studios this weekend, but I was there with another doctor, and we talked about your case." And he would sit on my bedside and he would draw for me. Remember how I told you that I was going to do the incision like this? Well, in talking to him, I'm going to do the incision like this instead. And this is why I'm going to do it like this. And he would go through everything with me, but it would change sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, by the time we got to June 15th, the plan was in place. Um, and Sarasota Memorial had just gotten a new OR. They called it a hybrid OR that they lobbied really, really hard to get. And this hybrid OR was picture this long, gigantic surgical room that actually had a bed that was on like a conveyor belt.
Hmm.
So instead of in typical ERs, sometimes you would have to do a procedure in one room and then they would move the patient to the other room, which would obviously increase susceptibility to infection and
Yeah.
stuff like this.
They just moved you down the line.
This room eliminated that. And I was one of the first procedures in this new hybrid OR that they had lobbied and spent millions of dollars on. But because of that, it allowed multiple steps of my surgery to happen in one OR. So June 15th arrives, it's surgery prep. I mean, I'm not joking you, there's 35 to 40 people in the OR with me. Um, they were sweet. They let me design a playlist that I could listen to during surgery. So
Incredible team.
the
They're
plan
such a
was
team.
C-section, have the baby, knock me out under anesthesia, and follow up with a hysterectomy. So We rolled in there. We started with the C-section. I take that back. They were originally going to knock me out completely.
Mhm.
And it was deliver the baby as fast as you can because of the anesthesia and then do hysterectomy. When I got there, the anesthesiologist said, how do you feel about staying awake for a C-section and then we'll knock you out? And I said, would you let my husband be in the room and see the delivery if we do that? And he said yes. And I said, okay, no question. Like, let's do
You,
this.
sure.
So we have the C-section. Um, she was bigger than we thought.
Mm.
And when I say bigger, she was 4 pounds, but we were told based on sonograms that she would be around 3. So I remember her being bigger was the thing that was being said. She's bigger than we thought, bigger than she thought. And I told my husband, I said, follow her. You don't have to stay here. Like, follow her, go to the NICU with her, be there. Um, so we made it through this C-section, and the anesthesiologist goes, I'm going to keep you awake. He's like, your vitals are so good, I'm going to keep you awake. Are you okay with that? I said, okay. So my surgery was 5 hours.
Ooh, baby.
Um,
Your epidural lasted that long for you to go through,
I had a spinal.
right? Because you had the C-section. Yeah, I had a C-section, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Okay. Forget how long that lasts for. That's why I was like, okay.
yeah. And I was awake the entire time.
Hearing everything that they were doing, like,
Yeah. I did receive a blood transfusion. Um, but yeah, it was, it was something.
Was the playlist long enough?
I had a lot of, I actually researched music for healing,
Mm.
wow.
and that is what I had played in the OR. Um, so whether or not it actually did
It all
something,
helps, no
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
yeah.
But they were great. Before the whole procedure happened, I asked them if they would take a moment. We could all stop and have a moment of silence, which that room stopped on a dime and they all participated. I think everybody knew what was
The
potentially
risk.
on the line. Um, so the 5 hours didn't feel like 5 hours, thankfully. But and then the healing began physically and emotionally. Um, I was in the hospital for about another week after that. Um, my daughter was in NICU only for 2 weeks. We were very, very lucky.
Wow.
Um, the hardest part of that was leaving the hospital without her
Mm.
because having a previous child, not leaving without a child is not normal. No parent should have to leave without their child and leave them behind. Um, so yeah, 2 weeks. She came home. She was the best baby, sleeping through the night, and I thank NICU for that from the get-go. Um, but it was a lot of healing and a lot of fallout happened. My marriage completely fell apart afterwards. Um,
Immediately?
I would say pretty close. I chalked a lot of it up to, post-pregnancy hormones, and our world has just been turned upside down. And I eventually realized that that wasn't solely it. But I would say that 90% of the reason our marriage ended was because of what
Trauma.
happened. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, then,
Um,
like, I mean, when you have a hysterectomy, like, hormonal wise, it totally is jacking your
Oh
body.
yeah, all
Yeah.
the things they
Yeah.
tell you
Yeah.
that, if we leave your ovaries, you're not going to become menopausal is crap.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then I'm taking care of this child who I feel this immense bond with in a different way because of what happened, who's also a NICU baby and 4 pounds, but yet I still have this 2-year-old son who's like, where the hell have you been for the last 40 something days, mom? And now you bring home
Sure.
this thing that
I have to
requires all
have
this
to compete with.
attention.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything was in disarray. So was an adjustment, but I think it was really just this shift in my life of just I've never really had anything bad happen to me. I've been very fortunate in my life. I've never had any, you know, horrible situations. I've been really blessed. And not that this was necessarily horrible, but it was this moment that one defined me forever, but really made me appreciate every day and what I have in a different way that I'm not necessarily sure I was doing before.
Hell of a way to learn
Because I
it.
was so lucky in so many other aspects of my life. I never really took time to like stop and smell the proverbial roses or really take a moment to be thankful.
Yeah.
So it really changed my whole perspective of life. And sometimes, listen, it's not to say that every day I am doing
Oh,
that
sure.
because
Right.
sometimes you get caught up. But I do, I've done a gratitude journal every single night since she's been born. I write down 3 things I'm grateful for every single night. Um, I've learned to be really in those 40 days, even though I was never really left alone, you really learn to be comfortable with yourself.
Mhm.
And I think that's a thing a lot of people aren't
Don't do.
comfortable. Most people are not comfortable with being alone in silence by themselves, reflecting, because you have to think about things in your life you don't, and you as a person too, that you might not want to
Mhm.
take onus of. Um, so all those things really shifted. Um, and you learn not to sweat the small stuff, right? It puts a lot of things in perspective. Um, So at the end of the day, it was probably one of my biggest blessings.
Wow.
Um,
Hard way to learn it, but yeah.
yeah, but what's better? I met an incredible group of women, support group.
Yeah.
I realized how I could help in this space by awareness, and openly talking about. I think there's so much stigma that comes along with women of let's not talk about, depression after being pregnant, right? Or let's not talk about any traumas, or maybe you feel less because you had a C-section as opposed to a natural birth. All
Yeah.
this ridiculous stigma, and having to really talk about those things,
Yeah.
right, is really important. Um, and it's okay to feel those things,
Yeah.
but
It's
you
the
don't have to be
awareness.
ashamed about it either.
Yeah.
Um,
It's so interesting because it's like you have, if you're married and you don't have children, everyone's always asking when are you having kids. They
right.
assume that you can, right? And then it's like if you've been trying and you can't have kids, you're like, stop asking the question. And then when you do have a kid, they're always asking, when is the next child? Like when's
Right.
the next
Or
kid?
better, my favorite is, and I have an immense amount of respect for women who just know that having children is not for them.
Right. Right.
And we, as a whole, shame women for that
Hmm.
because that is what we were meant to do.
Right.
But how great is it to be so in your convictions that you can say, I know this is not for me, and this is not something I want.
Right.
Um, that kind of conversation in anything particularly relating to women
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
right, is so important to stand up for what works for you. You don't have to conform to society and what they say or what they think.
You,
Um,
you're so spot on. Yeah. But that's the thing is that we don't normalize that. We don't normalize talking about things. We don't normalize asking for help. We don't normalize like saying that we're struggling. We don't
right.
normalize
And
those.
that goes for men too,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm sure when you grew up, it was you can't show your emotion as a man. Something that's not okay, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's where we're missing as a society, this piece of it's okay to ask for help, like you said. It's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay to show your feelings. It's
Mhm.
okay to be affectionate with your child
Yeah.
and show love and compassion.
So
Yeah,
interesting. Well, so I'll just tell you a quick story about, being compassionate with your child. So we have a 10-year-old who sometimes wakes up in the middle of the night and wants to come and snuggle with us.
Yeah.
Totally fine. I will never say no to that ever. I think I was doing that until I was, I don't know, last year. No. I'm just kidding.
And throwing up in the hallway after she warned
Right,
you.
yeah. I'm driving to my parents' house at 3 in the morning. No, but she said to me the other day, she goes, Mommy, it slipped out at school that I came and slept in your bed last night.
Just slip out.
I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, well, I just said, oh, whatever. She goes, and then some kids made fun of me. Like, you sleep in your mommy and daddy's bed. I'm like, there was nothing wrong with that. I said, we don't support each other. Like, there's literally nothing wrong with that. It's not every night, but if you have a nightmare or you feel like you're not
Yeah.
safe or you feel like whatever's going on, as parents, we're supposed to be there for you for those moments. Like, I have no problem with you doing that. And so we talk through that because we don't normalize those things. It's just,
No.
it's hard. So let me ask you this, your journey super powerful. What a story. What are you doing now? Like, do you do any kind of like advocacy now along the lines of that? Like, how are you helping spread the message in a
We
different?
were we were a March of Dimes ambassador family for 1 year. I was honored by them for work that I did. Um, Funds raised too, but I really try to um, speak openly about anything, whether it's my mental health or things that I'm feeling. And that conversation exists not only with my friends and family, but exists with my children about just the things you said earlier. It's okay to talk about things. It's okay to express emotion. I still keep in touch with a lot of the nurses from the hospital who were there. I still keep in touch with this amazing support group. Matter of fact, I told them I was doing this and I was like, what are the things that you want me? Is there anything you want me to talk about on this? Um, and it was stigmas, and it doesn't just happen to C-section patients. There's this whole thing, and just about the trauma, and that trauma doesn't have to define you
Hmm.
in anything in life.
Yeah.
You Right? It's also like I was a product of divorce. So when I got a divorce, I chose to handle my divorce completely different because I didn't want my children to deal with the things that I dealt with. Right? I think everybody in some way, shape, or form at some point in their life is given a choice. And how you choose to handle those choices is really something that can shift your entire life. And you can choose to go in one direction or the other direction. Where that fork in the road is and what direction you choose, it's entirely up to you. I choose not to let things define me like that. Yes, this is part of who I am and will always be with me, but it didn't have to be this bad, bless you,
Thank you.
traumatic thing that made my life not great.
Wow. I mean,
I
I
mean,
can't say that I don't know that I would have react. I mean, like, that's amazing and resilient and super inspiring. You were talking about those quotes and you were talking about how you've done that. Where does this resilient mindset come from? Like, was that you? It sounds like you're close to your mom.
oh, I'm
You
probably
get
gonna
that.
cry now.
Sorry.
My mom.
Yeah. Are
My
you an
mom.
only child or do you have siblings as well?
I have a younger brother, but I was raised by a single mom. Or I shouldn't, I mean, my parents are divorced and my dad is present, but my mom, she just,
She's the rock.
we were, yeah, she's the best. And I know sometimes I might not always tell her that, but I hope she always knows. She's my hero. She's my everything. And she is the one that plenty of times could have just said, that's it, I'm done, and easily rolled over or given up. And she just never, ever has to this day. And I'm so proud to be her daughter.
Mm. Sorry, now
So,
I'm crying.
yeah. But I was raised in that kind of environment of, hey, your cards might suck, but how you choose to play them is up to you.
Yeah.
Um, so I try to instill that in my children. Um, and be kind and always try to do better than you did the day before, no matter what that is. And your definition of what's better is up to you, right? There is no definition of what's
That's
better.
why your counsel with the support groups is so valuable. Not only having gone through it, but gone through it in the way you went through it, the way you
Yeah.
come at the other end.
And there are women who I've known in this group who have died of this. Um, there are women who have gone through far more trauma than I have. I just represent a small piece of it, but they are all so strong. Yeah, but awareness and but I think it's not just about related to what happened to me. It's really about your mindset can really change an outcome and how you dictate that.
This is
Um,
not the conversation we had anticipated.
yeah,
I thought it was like about UFOs and somebody beamed down.
Any inclination
you
of
know,
UFOs.
we could probably have another episode or something like that.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, like, I feel like, so what are you doing now? Like, do you speak about this? Like, I just feel like there's so, like, great.
Probably not enough. You
But not
know,
even like, I just feel like it's not even about the birth story. It's about the resilience. I feel like everybody has, and I call it funk.
well,
Everybody has something going on that is just tearing them down, that is
yes.
that is pouring into their belief that they can't do it, that they will never be able to achieve that. I will tell you, I have those moments sometimes, as an entrepreneur, you're
We
like,
all do, sure.
what am I doing? And like where you get in your own head and
Well,
it's
that's human,
horrible.
right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be a human if you didn't
Right.
have
Like
those
anyone
moments.
that's out there that's acting all confident that things sound great. No, like there's no chance. Like we all, have those moments, but like I just feel like you have such an opportunity to talk about how you find that
Well, you
resiliency.
just wrote a book. Maybe you could
Yeah.
ghostwrite something for
Yeah, there
me.
you go. But I think that
No,
but it's like I mean, like honestly, like you're so like, I needed to hear your message today.
thank you. I mean, I
So
don't listen, I am not in any way, shape, or form tooting my horn because I don't look at it like that at
Well, we
all.
we feel the same way, no
yeah,
question.
This is my story. This is personal to me, and it might just be only personal to me, right? But I think the one thing that I do tell people whenever they're going through anything, and first having grace and compassion and understanding and empathy. I mean, I am an empath, whether I like it or not. And I really take on some of that stuff, um, which I've had to work on not taking on so much of that stuff sometimes. But what I really do tell people is you need to shift your mindset.
mm,
And I cannot tell you how to do that because that could be
It's
individual
internal,
to you,
sure.
right?
yeah,
That could be getting out and going for a 5 mile run. That could be just sitting on the beach. That is up to you.
yeah,
But sitting in negativity, I mean, if you really look at, there's studies out there of what not being positive and being negative, it has physical,
yeah.
it reflects in your body, pain,
Disease, yeah,
inflammation. I mean,
disease,
there's
yeah,
all these things. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying positivity solves everything,
yeah,
but it sure does help, right? I
yeah,
mean, it's so easy to get down and out and in a dark place. And I've been there.
yeah.
But to really shift it, and I think that that also radiates when you're around other people.
Unquestionably,
Yeah.
sure.
So
So
interesting. You talked about the quotes, you talked about the playlist, and
I have one
know,
of them actually tattooed on me
oh, which one?
that I got afterwards. So my favorite quote during all of this that I had front and center was um, the warrior whispers to the storm, you've not handled the storm, and the warrior whispers back, I am the storm.
Ooh,
So I am the storm. Um, I got done on me after I think it was her first birthday.
I love
Um,
that. It's your story. I'm so grateful that you reached out to share your story. It's
well, thank you for
incredible.
entertaining my craziness.
No, and I really do think that other people that will hear this, men, women, what it will both benefit because it first starts to saying, look at the different perspective. We don't realize I had a C-section and I was a high risk pregnancy because I was older. I was so nervous. I was so scared to go in that. But people don't think about other people. They don't think about like what you've gone through. They don't think about that, as we're walking down the street, someone gives us a bad attitude or whatever, and we're just like, oh, what a jerk. But we don't realize like what are they going through? What have they just handled? What have they just
What I tell my kids all the
yeah,
time. I'm like, you never know what somebody is really
right.
going through.
Yeah.
Their mom
No
could be
idea.
dying in the hospital.
Right.
And I also tell my children that as well, in terms of like, sometimes how somebody reacts to you is not because of you, it's because of other things that are going on in their lives.
Most
Doesn't
times.
make it right,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it all stems from other stuff,
Yeah.
right?
It's true. We
Um,
just need a little more grace and understanding and kindness. We just have to be like, hey, let them have that day, like well, Mel Robbins says, let them, but we just have to give people that opportunity to be who they are. And then also we need to ask each other more for help. And
yeah, and I think it's something that really can be taught, like anything else at a younger age, needs to be taught at a younger age. Um, as you know, we know each other through schools and
yeah.
our work that we both do in schools. I mean, a kindness program, something like that would give me the greatest pleasure,
So
to
funny
be
you should say
implementing.
that.
Oh, there you go again.
Well, no, it's funny. So, my book is all about helping people shed the funk and figure out it's 11 micro moves. And my daughter was like, Mommy, I want to do a book like that for kids.
Yeah,
So,
like a kid version.
yeah,
Yep.
so we're in the middle of working on that. And I did a kindness talk at her school. And then we did a joint keynote kindness talk at the Boys and Girls Club. And it was just so phenomenal to bring this message to the kids and what that was that now I'm like, who that's where we need to start, right? Because they are the ones that are the future. And I will never stop working with adults, but that is where it is. So we're doing I don't know when your episode's airing, but we are partnering her and I together to do a big keynote ceremony for one of the organizations, Bring Your Kid to Work Day,
Yeah.
because seeing both sides of it. But yes, the more that we help these kids, the better everybody will be. Like adults are struggling, right? It is no secret adults are struggling, but so are
Right. But it all
kids.
starts at home
Yeah,
and in
yeah,
schools because they do spend a lot of time there.
yeah,
And these young little minds are like sponges. And
yes,
teaching something like this lifelong lesson,
Mhm.
starting at a young age, and kindness can take so many different shapes and forms, right?
yes.
There is no real like solid one definition of
Bring her with you.
kindness.
Right. I know. We need to talk. Okay, we're gonna take this offline and talk more about it because I've got
Do
too
you
many
do
ideas.
you mind local traveling?
She's yes, she's not too far from me. But it's interesting. Like I read this thing the other day and it was saying that bullying today has changed. It's no longer the punch you. I mean, sometimes kids still punch. It's no longer the
Oh, it's
physical bullying.
words.
Right. It's words and emotional bullying, like not
Yep.
including somebody, saying I'm just joking, or the bullying has just totally changed, especially with the power of social media. And so we never know someone's backstory. And that's why we started this podcast, is to show that we've had people come on here who we thought we were going in one direction and they dropped a bomb. Like we're like, whoa.
Right?
You dropped a
Yeah,
bomb.
you did. I mean, like we just don't know. And you would never look at somebody and understand them unless you
No,
start
it's
staring
not
into it.
what's on the outside doesn't always reflect
Right. It's
what's
wild.
on the inside, whether it's heartache or depression
Yeah.
or I mean, whatever it is.
Oh, there's so
So
much
people
funk in
are
the
really
world
good
right
at
now.
masking
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
There's so much funk. It's like, yeah, but that's a whole other conversation. Well, I am so grateful
Me
that
too. Thank
you
you.
shared your story with us. Thank you.
Hang on. The perfect sign off is for you to read your tattoo once again. I found it really impactful.
Well, I also have this one, which I heard you say, Jamie. This one says, let them.
Oh yeah. Did you get that before Mel Robbins or after Mel
I
Robbins?
did way before
Really?
Mel Robbins.
Wow.
So yeah,
Love
I
that.
am actually looking for so I don't misquote the whole thing.
Because what
The
you have tattooed on you is I am the storm, right? That's what's
I
on.
have I am the storm, and the quote is fate
And,
whispers
and
to
this
the
is
warrior.
oh no, in your best female pirate voice.
No, don't do
Oh
that. Shut
gosh,
up.
no.
No. Shut up. Go ahead.
It
Read us
says,
that
fate
quote.
whispers to the warrior, you cannot withstand the storm. And the warrior whispers back, I am the storm.
I
Love
love
it.
that. What's that from?
You know what? I really
Wasn't
don't.
Disney, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it's inspired by a book,
Okay. I
it
love
says.
that.
I don't know.
Do you have a
One of the
photo?
ones that I discovered in
Yeah. Your 40 days of being there and saying, Do you have a
I
picture
have
of
a
your
picture of what
room?
my room looked
Yeah.
like.
Will you share that with us so we can post it?
I will email it to you. Yeah.
Oh, incredible. You know, I will just give a shout out to the women and children's team at Sarasota Memorial
They
Hospital.
are amazing. And
They
they,
are absolutely amazing. We attend every year. They have a fundraiser called
yep,
Rock the Roof, and we are always there. And they are just, I delivered there, and they're amazing. But even to
yep,
all of our healthcare workers, we don't realize that a lot of them are moms, have dealing with their own things, and then they help moms like us deliver. So
yes.
just a shout out to them. Well, Nicole, thank you so much.
Thank
I am going to
you.
connect with you. We're going to go like meet up and talk through how we can change the world together because
Let me know how to help.
I am
Super.
so
Super.
grateful for the
Thank you.
conversation.
You
Thank you.
too. Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right.
Thank
I
you.
hope that your daughter feels better.
Thank you. And have a great weekend.
You too. All right.
All
Thank you,
right.
Nicole. All
Bye.
right. Bye. Bye.
Well, unexpected.
You know, I needed to hear her message today. You know, the whole thing about your mindset. And, you know, I don't ever talk about our birth story, and I'm not going to talk, that's her story now, but like just what a powerhouse. And I've known her for a little bit, and I never would have ever guessed that that was her story.
Mm.
So it just shows you, listener, that we never know what we're going to get. And if we just slow down and realize and give grace and kindness to people and ask even better questions, we're actually a lot more alike than we are different. And that is how the world heals together. So,
And I'm sure this podcast today helped a lot of people out. It's
yes,
a message that a lot of people need to hear.
it helped me. I mean, I love that. I am the storm. I am like, I
Oh,
love that.
stop. Love it. Love
Listener, if you're not watching, you can't see me rolling my eyes at my desk right now.
it.
Anyway, thank you, Nicole, again. Thank you, listener, for being here. We're so grateful that we get to share these stories. What a gift.
Who
Wow.
knows what's happening next? Tune in.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, thank you for tuning into today's What's Your Story podcast.
To learn more or share your story, go to jamiemarco.com. That's www.jaimemarco.com. And we will see you next time.